Monday Night Wars podcast.
Hello and welcome. Guess who's back again with a new format. Because we couldn't possibly add 2 more hours of thunder on top of like the 12 hours of other stuff we were watching before.
There's a lot of factors that go into this. So we are back from our break. We, there's a bit of a mental health recharge in there. And then a bunch of stuff happened. Peacock lost all of WWE's stuff. Mm-hmm. So we couldn't use that as our access point. We didn't know what we were going to do for pay-per-views and stuff. There's been some things that have kind of worked out in our favor, like legal manners, like Netflix has all the pay-per-views for WWF now. So we have a way of watching those. And all the WCW stuff, we've had to find other means of finding. So
some Russians,
yes,
as it were.
So we figured out how to basically find a way to bring you guys back to content. But this is to realistically put it out to you guys how one episode goes. So we have to record notes for Nitro, which is a 3-hour program, and we've done every single segment, as you guys have known. We've been along. We do Raw, which at the time is a 2-hour program. Again, record all the notes for that. So that's 5 hours bare minimum plus note taking. So let's say realistically, we're spending about 8 to 10 hours on taking notes. Then we have to record like we do for you guys, which is another hour and a half. Then I've got to edit those things. Then I've got to, but I actually really enjoy drawing the cover arts for them. It's a lot.
You have to draw the cover.
Now
things.
I have to. Yeah. Now
it keeps me going.
Scott said if I stop, he stops. So in fact, I just drew one today for the Road 2 for this episode.
I think it gives it a charm, man. I swear, I feel like it gives it a charm.
So it's a lot. And then when they made it more difficult on us, like we honestly talked about, like, do we stop doing this? And it was an honest to God, like maybe. And then one of our patrons sent us a very lovely note.
And then we got a letter.
We got a letter from one of our patrons. His name's Jeffrey. I think he just goes by Jeff. I think he was joking. He doesn't understand why Jeffrey is what it says, but he sent us a very lovely note. It's on our Twitter and everything, and I think our Instagram or something. And it was so sweet. It was so sweet about how, like, we helped him during like the early months of his child being born and him being up many nights and just needing something to listen to kind of keep him going. And we were that show. And like that, it was like, well, we can't stop now. If we can't stop because of that. So we retooled everything. And what we've kind of come to is we are going to do basically 2 episodes per pay-per-view each month, instead of the format we've been doing, which is a bare minimum of 4 episodes plus the 2 episodes of pay-per-views, which is 6 episodes. So the way the format will work, and we're learning this with you guys, each episode will be split into 2 parts. There will be a free part, which will be on our Spotify, our YouTube, our Apple Play, all that stuff. Then there's going to be a Patreon exclusive half. On the Patreon, it'll be the entire thing together. So it'll be the Road 2 and the pay-per-view. And then there'll be a free one that is just the Road 2. And each one is going to be the Road 2, whatever the pay-per-view is. So in this case, we are talking about Souled Out. So you're going to get the Road 2 Souled Out. We're going to discuss very quickly what happened on every Nitro leading up to Souled Out. We'll talk about the episode. Here's the rundown of what happened. We're not going to spend as much time on every single segment. And then in between episodes, we'll talk about some of the important things, kind of how we felt about it. And then we'll move on to the next episode. And we'll do that up until we get to the pay-per-view. At that point, we'll sign off. That's for the free people. And then for our Patreon exclusive people, you still get the pay-per-views. We're not taking that away from you. That's not fair to you guys. So we're going to make sure you guys keep getting that content, and that's exclusive to you. So if you want to hear the pay-per-view, and the pay-per-view will be in our original format. So that pay-per-view is not changing. We are going to go segment by segment on those.
Full hour.
So The way that pay-per-view goes on to our Patreon, if you want to hear that, it's $2 a month. It's really not much. When we said we were taking a break, by the way, immediately lost somebody. It was hilarious. I laughed really hard. I won't name you, sir, but I did see. I did see. It made me laugh.
Well, we're back, so put your $2 back in the till, buddy. You're still getting the award-winning content you love.
I know. Realistically, in terms of us like pausing and then gearing back up, it was really about a 3-week break. So it's like, oh my God, you had to wait so long. Anyways, made me laugh.
I get it. I get it though. When a lot of times when people are like, we're taking a break, it means we're never coming back.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
For a while there, we were kind of like, maybe are we never coming back? But then we got a letter, and a man's life depends on this podcast, so
Absolutely.
we're doing it.
And potentially his child. So, I mean, really, if you think about it, we're kind of that child's parents, or at least godparents.
Kind of, or at least, yeah.
So, I'm just saying.
I was going to do the Godfather theme song.
We will be at the at the event. You got to make sure that we actually have we'll have suits and everything, and we'll bless the child, and we'll do the whole thing. Don't actually
renounce Satan.
I do.
and then intersperse with clips of Goldberg spearing people. Because he's on his streak. Which is a good way to start this, because he's the first match of this episode of Nitro. So we're going to start with December 29th, 1997. We were at the Baltimore Arena in Baltimore, Maryland, of all places. I can't believe the Baltimore Arena is in Baltimore, Maryland. Anyways, we've discussed at length how we're going to handle this new format. I assume we're going to immediately botch it. But I'm going to read the match. I'm going to read us the match card, right? Is that what we agreed to?
Fine,
I have
fine.
the
That
match
works.
card.
Yep.
Okay. Because that's what I normally do. So we start off. Do you want me to read who wins and who loses? Is that what I'm reading in the match card here? You're the master of ceremonies.
Why don't you just do, here's the match card for the night, and then I'll take over on what happens in the show.
Okay. I won't tell you how these matches go, but we've got Glacier and Goldberg. No idea how that one goes. We've got Hammer and Chris Benoit. No idea how that one goes. We do actually have a good one. Eddie Guerrero versus Ultimo Dragon. Yep. That's the WCW Cruiserweight Championship. That's an interesting one. Mortis and DDP, WCW United States Heavyweight Championship. Disco Inferno, Booker T, WCW Television Championship. Wow. All the titles are on the line. And we've got Kurt Hennig, Chris Jericho, Lex Luger, Buff Bagwell, and then Sting versus Hulk Hogan. Didn't we just watch that?
Yeah.
I saw that on Starrcade. What am I paying for Starrcade, Joseph? Explain this all to me.
All right. So we start with the fallout of Starrcade 1997 and the shit show that was that pay-per-view. We do announce that Larry Zbyszko will get Scott Hall at Souled Out. Meanwhile, we finally have WCW commentary telling us that Goldberg is undefeated, though the streak itself is not a thing. They're just saying he's undefeated. They haven't called it the streak yet. Goldberg absolutely destroys Glacier. This won't play into the pay-per-view, but it is important for Goldberg and obviously his journey. And I think it's actually this month that a very, very famous, it's either this month or it's next month, that a very, very infamous moment happens with Goldberg, but we'll get there.
Oh.
Gene then interviews Bret the Hitman Hart, thanking him for his role in Starrcade. Hart condemns the NWO and calls what he did justice. He calls the NWO the scum he just left behind, taking a shot at WWF. But it's also kind of right, because the NWO is like former WWF guys, so I guess there's kind of a truth to that. We then have Raven teasing that he will finally get in the ring with Benoit, but instead it's Hammer who will face Benoit, as you mentioned. This is a recurring theme with Raven. It's really actually kind of annoying. The Flock eventually attacks Benoit, and then Mongo runs in for the save. So the Horsemen are not necessarily back together, but it does look like Benoit has some support. And this support will last a couple weeks, and then they'll just get rid of this storyline, because that's what we do in WCW.
Good old WCW.
Gene then interviews Ric Flair, who puts over Sting and Bret Hart. Gene brings up that Hart has said some stuff about Flair in the past, and Flair brings up an article that references Dave Meltzer calling Flair the greatest of all time. He also calls Meltzer Hart's boy. This is true because Meltzer regularly makes friends with toxic wrestlers and then reports their opinions as facts.
Oh God,
Anyways,
we're getting
gang.
sued. Dave Meltzer seems like the kind of guy that would sue us. What are you doing? This is it's all alleged.
Hold on.
All
You
alleged.
don't know that I'm talking about Dave Meltzer from the Wrestling Observer newsletter. I could be talking about any Dave Meltzer.
I'm going to Google how many Dave Meltzers are in America. I don't feel like I've never met another Dave Meltzer.
They made one and they broke the mold. Anyways.
Absolutely.
Ultimo Dragon very quickly beats Eddie for the Cruiserweight title, but Ultimo will not be champ heading into the pay-per-view. This is an interesting thing that'll happen with the Cruiserweight title. It's going to bounce a lot over the next few weeks as we get into the pay-per-view. And I think the pay-per-view actually allows it to kind of settle for certainly a few weeks as we get a very fun storyline going forward, but we're not quite there yet. Hogan and Bischoff come out pissed to bitch about injustices that at Starrcade. And they have a point because Hogan politicked backstage and fucked over the whole promotion. But we talked about that at length in our Starrcade Patreon pay-per-view. If you want to hear that, it's $2 a month. It is up over there. Bobby,
and he can't sue us anymore.
That's true. He's dead.
But
Anyways,
his estate can.
Is that like a Mexican estate? Anyways, gang.
Ah!
Bobby the Brain returns to WCW Monday Nitro, and it's important to note that NWO Nitro was a failed experiment. DDP beats Mortis. Then Gene interviews J.J. Dillon, who thanks Larry Zbyszko. He also brings up the controversy at Starrcade. He says that Sting is willing to put up the title on the line tonight if the NWO would like. Then we get Booker T, who beats Disco Inferno to become the new television champion. Gene interviews J.J. Dillon and says no one has given him an answer on the title match. Now, while I'm talking, Scott has messaged me and said, slow the fuck down, bro. It's hard to follow.
You're racing through this. What are you doing? You're just racing through this. People probably trying to listen to this on 1/2 speed are like, holy good Lord.
Well, now you don't have to listen on 1/2 speed.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're gonna learn this format together, guys. We're gonna learn this format together.
Because I think you're realizing it's a lot of content that we're trying to get like a month's worth of these episodes into a relatively small package. I get the wanting to go fast, but a man is up all night with his baby.
That's trthink
he can listen to as much of this as he needs to, know?
That's true. That's true. Oh my God. So I think I left off on Booker T beating Disco Inferno. Up next, we have Gene interviewing J.J. Dillon again, saying no one has given him an answer on a title match. And then Bischoff comes out. During the same segment, he comes out and and then he calls Dillon his. He just goes, J.J. Dillon, you're mine. Okay. He says that Hogan will take his rematch against Sting tonight. So surely they will fix the problem from last night tonight. Right? Right?
No, they're going to make it worse because this is WCW.
Kurt Hennig then beats Jericho, who throws a tantrum with a chair outside the ring post-match. Heel Chris Jericho is finally upon us. This is the start. He throws a tantrum here, and it's going to become a very fun storyline over the next few weeks. After this, we get Scott Hall taking his survey, and then Buff Bagwell challenges Luger again, and Luger obliges and racks him for the win. We then get this rematch that we've kind of talked about all night, and this is the main event of the night. We get Hogan and Sting, which the show ends prior to the conclusion of this match.
Yes.
So WCW not only muffed the pay-per-view, they also muffed this match. They basically muffed the same match twice in 24 hours. It is absolutely fantastic. So that is an overall breakdown of what happens on the entire episode of Nitro. Few things I think we should talk about going into this. One, you know what? Let's leave the Starrcade stuff for the very end of this, because there's so much meat on that bone. We talked about it at length, so we don't need to talk about necessarily what happened at the Starrcade event. but we definitely need to talk about like their scramble to fix it and how it's already
Yeah,
off
they
to a horrible
botched it.
start.
That's really all you need to know is that they botched it. They tried
Yes.
to do they tried to do a screw job situation at Starrcade and completely botched it.
Yes. They screwed the
And
screw
this
job.
whole episode, yeah, they screwed the screw job. WCW screwed WCW. And so this whole episode, the whole purpose of this episode is to fix that.
Yes.
They talk about it the whole
Mhm.
episode.
Yeah.
And then they make it worse.
Yes.
But let's talk about all the other stuff before.
Okay. So we have this Mongo and Benoit thing that I do kind of want to go into. They're almost teasing, and my first thought here was, oh, maybe this is the return of the Four Horsemen because we know at some point Dean Malenko joins the Four Horsemen. We know this happens. So that might be where we're heading. I can for sure tell you it doesn't happen in the next month because Mongo will split off and he will actually start feuding with somebody else who is not related to the flock in any sort of way. That's a huge debut, I guess, kind of. Depends on your perspective. I think so for the time, but it's just kind of a weird one. So that'll be its own thing. So we have that, and it's like, oh, they're bringing them back together, and then in just typical WCW fashion, they don't know what they're doing. Like whoever books these things, they just don't book out more than 2 weeks ever at any given moment. And so,
Well, who is booking? It's a committee now, right? Supposedly.
I think so.
It's-
So it's not Kevin Sullivan. We know it's not Kevin Sullivan.
No, he's gone.
I think you're right. I think it is a committee at this point. Bischoff is head of creative now. It is up to him, which I struggle for that to work. I struggle for the guy who's in charge to also be head of creative. I'm not knocking any particular individual, but I think it's difficult for any promotion. I mean, if you look at the modern day promotions, you look at WWE and AEW, I think they both struggle with that. I think both of them, Tony Khan can only be everywhere so much, as can Trips. It's the only way that it can work. They can't be everywhere at all the time. So they need reliable people, and whether or not those people are reliable, which WWE Unreal Season 2 just had a huge moment that really pissed off everybody with Road Dogg not knowing the direction of a storyline and looking, frankly, kind of foolish in it. You need the right people who can be leading things. Which, by the way, I actually don't mind that Road Dogg didn't have the answer. I mind that he didn't have the answer and he is head of creative for SmackDown.
Yes.
That's the problem. If you're a writer and you go, I really don't know how we're going to get there. Fine. Okay, let's talk about it, guys. How do we get from that to that? Fine.
Yeah, just admit it. Like you can have an idea and then the direction clearly needs to change. Like I get that, right? Like especially with live entertainment like this, where you're telling a story and you may have it planned out for weeks, months in the future, but just what's happening in the ring and what the fans are telling you is not the direction you wanted to go in and you need to change. Like I get it going, I don't know where to go with this now. I thought I had a great bow to wrap, to tie this off with, but the fans don't want it. So what do I do now?
Yeah.
Right. I get that.
Yeah.
But he not only didn't know, he was so flippant about it, I think was the big thing.
Yes.
Because you were talking about it was in the women's division, and it was a rivalry in the women's division.
With Chelsea Green.
And and then his who people love and want her to like, they want her to really go over. And so they were like, well, who are you going to have her, who is her rivalry going to be with? And he just kind of shrugged and said, I don't know, the same girls. Like that was almost exactly what he said. Like the same girls as always. And it was like, what? You run creative on SmackDown. I love Road Dogg. I know they're not the most technically gifted, but the New Age Outlaws are my favorite tag team of all time. Just because of, I love a good story. I love good mic work, all that kind of stuff. They're my favorites. So it breaks my heart to see Road Dogg doing this, but it did not look good.
Yes. Yeah. And I think right now WWE's in the same situation where they have So they were clearly, I think that this is my assumption on the plan. I don't have any facts on this. I think the plan was to have Seth Rollins versus either CM Punk at WrestleMania, or it was Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker at WrestleMania for the title. Seth Rollins was supposed to carry the title all the way to WrestleMania. He got hurt, so they had to pivot. The only person it made sense to, frankly, at the time, to put the title on is CM Punk. This is controversial because a lot of people want LA Knight to be champion right now.
Oh, yes, they do.
I need you to know, when you need to scramble to find a champion, that is not the time to put it on to someone who has not proven they are a champion yet. I'm not saying LA Knight can't be champion. I need that to be very clear. Those are two different things that I'm talking about. You have to put it
You
on
just don't
someone
know.
reliable, because you have to scramble and you need that person to be able to carry it and give it some gravitas while you try to figure out things backstage. So CM Punk is the only person that made sense at that time to become champion. Him, maybe Gunther. Those are it. That was your list. So they gave it CM Punk.
Gunther's busy killing all of my childhood heroes.
Yes.
So
So those are the only two things you could do. Then they had to figure out how do we make this work, right? And so that changed a lot of things. We had an excellent match between Braun Breaker and CM Punk. I don't know if Braun Breaker is quite championship material yet. I think they get that sense too, where they clearly are pivoting off of that. All of a sudden, this Roman Reigns CM Punk thing happened. That's fine. Perfect. Make that your match. However, on the SmackDown side, they clearly want to do this sort of triple threat match with Drew McIntyre, Cody Rhodes, and Jacob Fatu. Only problem is there is a glaring Sami Zayn problem right now on SmackDown, which is that the person who should go to WrestleMania and beat Drew McIntyre, because he is 0 for 12 against Drew McIntyre, and that was a big storyline going into the Royal Rumble, is Sami Zayn. He has never been able to beat Drew McIntyre. He has never been able to be the champion. It is an obvious storyline. It is right there. And they have this problem where they are clearly forcing this Jacob Fatu and Rhodes thing. And the crowd is starting to go, hey, wait a minute. What about Sami Zayn? He's right there. Hopefully they figure it out in the next few weeks. Hopefully they put Sami Zayn in a position where he can be in that match and hopefully win that match, because I think it makes the most sense. Frankly, it's kind of baffling that they didn't do that and they're not leading to that, but it is what it is. So they got to figure that out. That's a whole thing. But that's a classic example of, like, they had a plan. They had two very clear plans no more than 2 months ago, and everything has gotten in their way to get there. So that shit happens. Okay. Things happen. You have to scramble. That's understandable. We will see if WWE can pull it off. I'm actually leaning on this one towards, I don't think they can. I think they're going to screw it up. In case you're only listening, Scott was just shaking his head vehemently. He's like, there's no way they're going to pull this off.
I actually kind of got a little shaking my head so vehemently. I don't see it. I'm not watching as closely as you, right?
Yeah.
I don't have Netflix because I refuse to give them money, because they took away me stealing it from my parents, and I'm mad at them. And so I get all my WWE news from Twitter, and people, and Twitter is the worst place to get your WWE news, because
everyone hates
so
everything every
angry.
time. Yeah.
They hate Trips. They hate everything Trips does. They're mad that LA Knight hasn't gotten over, but then as soon as he gets over, they'll hate it.
Yes.
They hate Gunther, who I actually think Gunther is great.
Gunther is one of the best heels in wrestling today. There's no doubt about it. He's fantastic.
He's boring. He's old school wrestling, bro. You're a mark. Shut up. Just like, if you don't like this, you don't like wrestling. I'm sorry.
Yes, 100%.
Well, we're gonna see more people go off the Patreon because they hate Gunther. But call me a mark. Mark this. Cancel.
Yeah.
But anyways, I don't know, but I have more faith in, to bring it back to what we got going here. I do have more. I don't think they can fix this, but I have more faith in WWE to correct the ship than I have in WCW to correct the ship over everything that's going on
Yes.
with them. And with 2020 hindsight as my guide, I know they don't, because this is the beginning of the end,
Yes. Yes.
right?
And that really brings us to the very last point, is that they screw up this Starcade booking twice. So now it must continue even further. And this is going to be not
And then they
just
screwed up again.
this month. It is going to go into next month. It will for sure get through Super Brawl with them trying to solve this to no avail. So we have 2 months of, to be fair, some very fun matches, some very interesting storylines with some new wrestlers who are getting a spotlight, and the overall main event being a shit show. So
Yes.
buckle up, everybody.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, the whole episode is leading up to is fixing Starcade. They come out right away and say, Hogan has his they're gonna the problem with Starcade. Hogan has his big thing where he's right. He has a promo where he talks about Nick Patrick gave a normal 1, 2, 3 count. I was cheated, because he absolutely was with what happened at Starcade, right?
Mhm.
He won on a normal fair count. So how do you fix that? And now he wants the injustice that he calls it corrected. He's absolutely right from a
Yes.
storyline. How do you fix
Which
that?
which he created, by the way, which he
Yes.
created. He intentionally did
Backstage,
this.
but we don't know
Yes.
that
Yeah.
if we're
If you're
watching,
just
right?
watching,
Yeah, no,
correct.
yeah, if you listen to the Patreon, we talk about all the backstage dynamics of how this happened. This is not how it was supposed to have happened. It was supposed to be a fast count. It was supposed to be a screw job situation. Bret Hart comes out and says, "No, no, no, this isn't happening again.
Yeah.
Restart the clock." Sting wins clean. Great.
Yes.
But instead, Hogan caught Nick Patrick, and Nick Patrick, who he was boys with, and I don't really blame Nick Patrick, because he couldn't get a straight answer from anybody. And Hogan made him feel special, and so
Nick
he was like,
Patrick was
"Hogan's my
naive.
buddy."
Yeah.
Yeah, Hogan wouldn't do that to me, and I'm gonna do a regular 1, 2, 3 count. So we have to now spend 3 months
Mhm.
fixing it, and they never do, because we have the match, and then it doesn't even end by TV time.
Yeah.
So we don't know how it ends.
Right.
And you think, well, thank God Thunder has started, because at least I can know on Thursday how this. No, Thunder's next week. So you don't get to know until next Monday
Yes.
how this gets fixed. I would be enraged.
You are enraged.
Should we? Do we
It's
need to
it
keep
is
talking about this?
no, it is time to move into the next episode, because that segues perfectly into the start of our next episode.
Well, then let's get it started. It is January 5th, 1998, and we're at the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, Georgia. Imagine that. And we are live with WCW Nitro. Here is the run of the show. We've got DDP versus Chris Jericho for the United States Heavyweight title. We've got Stevie Ray versus Goldberg. Wonder how that one's going to go. We've got the Barbarian versus John Nord. We've got Psychosis versus Juventud Guerrera. We'll see if that took. We'll see if that took for our listener, Merks. That's not his real name. He's an internet friend of ours, and that's what we call him. I said Juventud Guerrera because I know on the pod it just cuts it out, and there's just this blank space there. Which maybe now that we're recording less of these, we might have some time to maybe I just cut a Juventud Guerrera, and you just put it over the blank space. But anyways, we've got that match. We've got Booker T versus Prince Iakea, because Booker T is now the television title champion. I need to reiterate that from our previous episode. He's won that title. We've got a 6-man tag with Ray Traylor and the Steiner brothers versus the NWO B team comprised of Buff Bagwell, Conan, and Scott Norton. We've got Rick Martel versus Brad Armstrong. Boy, howdy. We've got Riggs and Saturn versus Chris Benoit and Steve McMichael. And we've got our main event, which is Randy Savage versus Lex Luger. Card sounds kind of hot, Joseph. Tell me about it.
It does. It does sound kind of hot. We start with the NWO arriving in limos. And we find out that last week's match between Sting and Hogan ended with Hogan not winning the title, but never that he lost, which is objectively hilarious because that is typical Hogan.
Yep.
Gene then interviews J.J. Dillon about their second world title controversy. And Dillon apologizes, but calls Sting the champ and says that the tape of the finish will be available on Thursday on their new WCW show called Thunder.
Oh, good.
We then get heel Jericho, who comes out and apologizes for his actions last week. He presents a new chair for ring announcer Dave Penzer, as well as a new tuxedo jacket. He then faces DDP, but of course loses to the Diamond Cutter, so he throws another tantrum, which made me laugh. After that, we get Gene interviewing WCW VP Nick Lambros, who we've, of course, never seen before, who says that any violation by an NWO member will be subject to fines, suspensions as a member of WCW. Okay? Fair enough. Then Goldberg absolutely destroys Stevie Ray. Moving along, John Nord, a who's who of
Stevie.
who, faces Barbarian. Nord surprisingly wins with a modified chinlock. Okay? After that, Gene interviews Eric Bischoff, who complains. We then get some cruiserweight content between Psychosis and Juventud Guerrera that sees the latter win. Gene interviews Booker T after, who just celebrates being the new TV champ. He then faces Prince Iaukea and he retains his title. It's actually a big moment for Booker T. He's going to carry this title for quite a few weeks, go on a nice little streak, and have some fun storylines with it. Ray Traylor and the Steiners take on Conan and Vicious and Delicious. Scott Steiner wins with the Steiner screwdriver, and Scott has shown this edge to him as of late, where he starts arguing with refs. He doesn't want to tag in his partners, and he wants to win everything by himself. This will actually be a match at Souled Out, this exact same lineup, but we'll get there when we get there. Brad Armstrong then faces a debuting Rick Martel. Do the thing, Scott.
What? For Rick Martel, though?
Yeah. Hey, Rick Martel was a big thing in the 80s. Rick Martel picks up the victory. After this, Perry Saturn and Scotty Riggs face Benoit and Mongo. Raven sneaks in an even flow DDT, and Saturn picks up the win. After that, Gene interviews Ric Flair, who takes issue with Bret Hart calling himself the best. Bret interrupts, and the two men argue about who is the best. This is setting up an eventual bout at Souled Out between the two men. They also clearly do not like each other, and this is amusing because Bret doesn't like anyone unless they suck his dick. In the main event...
Whoa! Back to us.
In the main event, Macho Man faces Lex Luger. J.J. Dillon announces a change in referees and suspends Nick Patrick for the slow count, fast count he made at Starrcade. Bischoff is irate. Vicious and Delicious come to the ring to help Mach, but Luger wins with a surprise inside cradle pin. Savage attacks Lex Luger post-match with a chair. Bischoff stops him and Savage attacks Bischoff. Hogan and Savage get into it, and Kevin Nash attacks Savage as the show closes. This is a legitimately fun end to the show. We actually have real infighting with the NWO, and this is going to be a storyline over the next few weeks. It's the only interesting thing the NWO has done in months. So I'm excited.
Yes.
Few big things to talk about on this episode. Booker T getting a solo run and really getting a solo run, and this will basically continue the rest of his career. They'll have a few moments where he tags again with Stevie Ray, but Booker T, for all intents and purposes,
and Stevie Ray getting jobbed out to
yes.
Goldberg. Their careers are woo, you know.
Well, also Stevie Ray is like he's Stevie Ray is considerably older than Booker, and he's leaning towards retirement anyway. So I'm okay
Yeah,
with Stevie Ray playing it that way.
fair.
Although not that I know it was his choice. I'm not going to talk for the guy. Maybe he wanted to win some more than he did, um, but much. This is the big storyline of this night. Outside of obviously the what do we do with the world heavyweight title thing, Mach is all of a sudden starting to fight with the NWO, and this will be the next so many weeks, actually the next about 2 months for sure of storyline for Mach, and it's a lot of fun. So this is his big storyline. He's kind of getting out from the shadow of Hogan, and they're gonna do a lot of very interesting things. That's pretty much how we end this show, though. Outside of those two things, not a ton to talk about. Everything else is really just kind of a fun Nitro. It's very action packed. There's a lot of storylines going on, and it's actually one of the better Nitros I think we've had in a long time. It's just very simple.
Yes, minus the crap that is
Yes.
Starrcade continuing to loom over the show that they cannot fix somehow.
Yeah.
And it goes on for months because they don't fix it at the next pay-per-view. It's other than that though, it's pretty good. And as you said, I like the storyline that there's dissension in the ranks of NWO. We've got because there's no as you know, our chief criticism of the NWO is that they're too strong. There's no one that
Mhm.
can beat them. We and it's getting ridiculous. And so if no one else can beat them, let's create dissension in the ranks because at least it's something.
Yeah.
It's something. And we don't really like Savage in the NWO anyways
Yeah.
because we think he's great and he's been relegated to a supporting role because Hogan. So get him out.
Yeah.
Get him out. You know, piss him off, and now he's joined the other team because you guys kicked me out. So I'll join the good guys. I'll join WCW, and we'll make your life hell. Let's do it. I like it. I like it. I don't like the Starcade stuff though. I don't. It just I find it hard to enjoy because I know everything that's
Yeah.
happened and I know everything that's going to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah,
So
you're
it
not
makes
wrong.
it yeah. But I mean, I think that, like you said, it's really a pretty clean episode. It's really the storyline is cleaning up the Starcade mess and this new possible NWO dissension. There's also the announcement that Bret Hart and Ric Flair are gonna have a match potentially. So
Mhm.
that could be good. We'll see if that happens. I don't remember if it does. Does it happen? It's at
It
Sold
does.
Out, isn't it?
Yes, and that's sold out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I took those notes this week, but as you know, woo! Uh, just, much like Ric Flair. So yeah. So yeah. There it is. There it is. Should we keep rolling, or do you have more items to discuss
Let's
for this
keep rolling,
episode?
man. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like it's starting to work
Should I?
now.
Ooh. Well, I did take brief notes, like card stuff on Thunder. Should I at least mention what's happening on Thunder? How do you
So
want to handle that?
if Thunder actually affects any of the storylines, they do replays
Okay.
on Nitro. I have notes of those things. So we should be
Okay.
okay.
Man, you've got this all figured out. A well-oiled machine. And over here, I saw over here when we logged in, I said, "What are we doing?" Because I wasn't sure. I'm joking, but I'm not.
Yeah.
January 12th, 1998, at the Jacksonville Memorial Coliseum in, you guessed it, Jacksonville, Montana. No, it's Jacksonville, Florida. I wanted to swerve you, bro.
Swerve, bro.
Swerve, bro. Anyways, we've got Jerry Flynn versus Bill Goldberg. Wonder wonder how that goes. We've got Black Cat
Yes.
versus Marty Jannetty?
Yep.
What What am I watching? We've got Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko. Okay, I'm interested now. We've got Booker T versus Saturn for the WCW World Television title. I'm interested. I like those two guys. They can wrestle. Lex Luger, Hugh Morris. All right, okay, I can do that. Chris Jericho versus Mongo. You know, Mongo's grown on me. He tries. I'm gonna let it go. We got Rey Mysterio Jr. versus Juventud Guerrera. And we've got our WCW World Tag Team title match versus the Outsiders and the Steiner Brothers. Wow. I like this card. Tell me, Joseph, do I like this card?
Well, we'll find out together.
Won't we?
Unlike last week's, that was very kind of straightforward. This week has a lot going on in it. We start with seeing that on Thunder, the debut episode, J.J. Dillon had stripped Sting of the title, and Sting says that Dillon has no guts, and he calls Hogan a dead man. Gene interviews the NWO out back, who calls the attack from Savage last week a family business situation. Interesting to note, Savage is not with them. Our first match is Jerry Flynn wrestling Goldberg, who absolutely destroys him. Up next, we get Black Cat, who wrestles a debuting Marty Jannetty. Do the thing, Scott.
Are they? Who? Have we seen Black Cat before?
I don't know.
Double
Marty Jannetty wins with the showstopper. Gene then interviews Mach, who wants Gene to tell me what Kevin Nash said about me, and there ain't no problem in the NWO. That's great. He doesn't actually say a whole lot outside of those things.
He's too good for the NWO, man.
Yeah, he's so good. I will let you know next. I may lose my voice next month when we do those the next pay-per-view for Nitro or for WCW, because there is a lot of Mach promos leading up to that pay-per-view. So I may blow out the voice. Oh man, fun story. So last time we kind of did all of this, it was before Christmas. A little bit after Christmas, my sister-in-law, her parents visited my brother and obviously their family.
Mm-hmm.
And you know this, my brother lives right behind me. And so I was at their house. We're playing WWE 2K25, and his nephews always want to play that, or my nephews, his sons always want to play that with me. And so
that was getting weird. So that's how it is in this family.
Absolutely. You gotta shoot your shot. Anyways,
what?
So we're playing, and his mother-in-law had decided that she wanted to go to bed at like 10:30, or it was like 10, and at 10:30 she comes out because we're playing downstairs. Their guest room is downstairs. We're gonna be loud. We're playing and having a good time. And she comes out, and she sucks, by the way. She just totally sucks. And she's being passive aggressive.
I hope she doesn't listen to the pod, bro.
I couldn't care less. She's being super passive aggressive, and she's just like, I can't sleep. At that time, I happened to be using Macho Man Randy Savage. And so to make my oldest nephew laugh, I was just doing Mach the entire time. So she comes out and she goes, I can't sleep. And what she's trying to say is get off the system so that way I can go to sleep, but she's not saying that. So I just start going, can't get those Z's. Yeah, too much madness in the room. And I just start freaking going all lots on her. And she's getting more and more angry. And my nephew is laughing harder and harder. And it was a great time. It was a beautiful thing.
That's a beautiful thing, man.
Anyways.
Did you give her an elbow drop?
I could have put her to sleep that way, yeah.
Damn.
Anyways, after this, Benoit faces Dean Malenko in a banger match that sees Malenko tap out to the crossface. Both men get attacked by the Flock, and this is another reason why I thought maybe this is the start of the Four Horsemen coming together, because we've had the Mongo thing.
Yes.
Now we have Dean Malenko. It's going to kind of disappear. Anyways,
I love this storyline. Hopefully it works out. Because finally we're getting people who belong in the Horsemen together for the Horsemen.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Gene then interviews JJ Dillon, who seems to just be out of it. Like he doesn't want to be here anymore. And he finds Savage, who comes after Dillon and screams, "Take it back right now." And then Eric Bischoff runs out and says he will pay the fine instead. And Mach is pissed about the principle of the thing. And I laughed so fucking hard. After commercial, we come back and Gene interviews DDP and asks his take on the general goings on in WCW. Apparently, DDP and Luger are supposed to face Mach and Kevin Nash at Thunder, but DDP questions NWO for life. And this, I actually didn't like this, says even Liz and Randy ain't for life. Don't like that one, Dally. Don't like that one. I think he felt a little bad about saying that one in retrospect. He says the only thing for life is that he and Luger hate the NWO. After this interview, we then get Perry Saturn, who's facing Booker T for the WCW Television Championship. And once again, Booker retains as Rick Martel looks on and says he wants a title shot, which Booker agrees to. Booker T, fighting champion. Love it.
And gotta give Rick Martel a shot because he's earned it.
Yes, absolutely. He had one win. He's 1-0. He's undefeated.
Yes, like Goldberg.
Yeah.
He's on a streak like Goldberg.
Yeah. Gene interviews WCW VP Nick Lambros for the second time in the week. He also interviews the Giant. Lambros says that Bischoff is cut off from WCW's money and that at Souled Out, if Kevin Nash doesn't show up this time against the Giant, because you remember at Starrcade he didn't show up, it will cost the NWO $1.5 million.
Yes.
The NWO arrive and they have an attorney, Henry Holmes, who says they demand that WCW matches the $1.5 million. So the Giant doesn't get to touch Kevin Nash until the match, unless provoked. That is important. I actually low-key love this. I love the unless provoked storyline. I'm a huge fan of that. It's stupid, it's ridiculous, and I love every moment of them. Anyways, after this, Hugh Morris faces Lex Luger, who racks him, and then Miss Elizabeth shows up and asks Lex to help her, only for Lex to get attacked by Mach. We then get Mongo versus Chris Jericho. Mongo wins with a tombstone, and Chris Jericho throws a tantrum on a mic and says he won't be anyone's role model while he thinks we aren't on air. When he realizes we're on air, he flips the switch and apologizes, and it's great. Chris Jericho is cooking. They're giving him mic time, and he's having a blast. Rey Mysterio comes out for his own match, which upsets Jericho during Jericho's time. Mysterio faces, as you mentioned, Juventud Guerrera for the Cruiserweight Championship, but Jericho attacks Rey before the match starts and locks him in a Lion Tamer. The Juice is ready for their match, though, and attacks Rey to start the match and wins easily. After this, Bischoff and Hogan come out for reasons. Then Gene interviews the debuting Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Do the thing, Scott.
Well, we like that.
Yes.
This one we like.
Yeah. The Anvil is upset about Ric Flair's statements on Bret Hart, so Flair welcomes him to WCW, but takes umbrage to his name coming up and calls him out for being biased because Jim is married to Bret's sister. Anvil doubles down and says Bret Hart is the best wrestler, and this results in Anvil versus Nature Boy, who levels Jim with a foreign object, then locks in the ring post figure 4. Bret runs in to save him, and the two men brawl. Finally, we get the main event, which sees the Outsiders face the Steiners for the WCW World Tag Team titles. Hogan is in the Outsiders' corner, and eventually Savage joins him. Referee Randy Anderson gets knocked out, so the NWO target Rick Steiner for the win, but Savage clearly targeted Nash and missed, so the NWO is pissed at him as we close the show. So a lot goes on here. We finally get some goings on with the Giant and Kevin Nash, and they are finally supposed to have their match. We'll see if it happens. It does. It's at Souled Out, and it's gnarly.
Whoa!
We get a continuation of the Savage thing. The Savage thing is going to keep going. Every week we are going to get some sort of Savage thing. It is going to be a huge, huge storyline going forward. And the funny part about it, more than anything, I'll let you talk in a second. is that he just
go ahead.
wants to face Lex Luger, but he keeps fighting everybody to do it, and it's great. What were you
We
gonna
like
say?
that. There's nothing wrong with having a Savage storyline on every episode of Nitro. I feel like we're on an upswing here.
I agree.
I feel like things are happening. I'm excited.
I agree. I agree. It's getting me hyped for Souled Out. We obviously have one more week to go before we get there, but it's a lot of fun so far. Let's see. The cruiserweight title is gonna be a point of consternation. This is gonna change hands like 2 more times in the next week,
Mhm.
just so you guys
Yeah.
know. Because there is a cruiserweight title championship match, cruiserweight championship match at Souled Out, but it's not with the person who's champion right now. So there you go. DDP is
Well,
kind
why
of
should it be?
yeah, right. DDP is interestingly enough kind of playing second fiddle right now. He's just kind of there.
Mhm.
He's just kind of there. He will have a storyline next month that's actually pretty fun. We'll get into that after we get through the Sold Out pay per view. But he right now is just kind of a weekly like, oh, he's there. He might have a match. He might not, and that's it. So overall, what are your thoughts on this week of Nitro, Scott?
Well, like I said, I think I feel like it was pretty good. I feel like we're on an upswing here. We still have the looming stink of Starrcade that we're still trying to fix. There's still conversation about all of that, but the build up to Sold Out has been pretty good. I agree with you. I really like the Bond idea. I think that's fun. I think that's a fun angle. I like when they do stuff like that. Like you can't touch him until the pay-per-view because it allows for fun hijinks. It allows for a lot of good stuff. I'm loving the Savage NWO dissension stuff. Savage saying there's no dissension. We're cool as cucumbers. And then very clearly it not being
Yeah.
the case. Uh, you know, uh, and we've never liked Savage in the NWO, so if there's an opportunity here to get him out,
Yeah.
I'm interested. We love Jericho heel, you know, he gives that great apology for his he's apologizing to the fans for being a heel, and it's just so tongue in cheek. He's just like, "Screw you,"
Yeah.
it's really fun. And then he attacks Rey Mysterio from behind,
Mhm.
and it's like it's it's fun. I'm liking this. We've got the Goldberg streak, which, that's wrestling history. And honestly, I think the match of the night though, Malenko, Benoit, loved that match.
Yes.
Technical showcase. Uh that's the kind of thing, it's funny how I love everything about wrestling. Like, there are some people who are just like, there's the AEW fans who just want technical wrestling kind of stuff. That's all they care about. And then WWF is more like entertainment. I mean, it's in the name, right? WWE. That's kind of that's the big distinction people make. AEW is wrestling and WWE is entertainment. I love a good technical showcase, but I also love storylines. I'm getting them all here tonight. I'm liking where WCW is going. Clearly, they're gonna ruin all of this at Sold Out. I can't wait for it. So, with that, should I keep going, or do you wanna opine?
Well, before we get into the last episode, it was funny you saying that they're gonna ruin the whole thing. The crazy thing is, it's kinda just the main event scene that they're ruining. Everything else is starting to fire on all cylinders. Like, we're getting some fun storylines for
Yeah.
everything mid-card and lower. It's just the main event that is like, dear God, which, unfortunately is the anchor of your program, is the
Yes.
main event, and that's the
When your
only
main
thing.
event is a ginormous wet fart, it's a problem for your whole show.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
man. Anyways, I'm ready to move on, sir.
Speaking of wet farts, January night January 19th, 1998, it's fine, at the Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. So I'm just gonna say right here, this is not on the card, this is technically a dark match, but I'm mad, so I'm gonna bring it up. There's a dark match which features Louis Spicolli, whatever, versus Jim Duggan. And
Mm,
Jim Duggan not being on my screen is a crime, and I don't
mhm.
like what WCW is doing. Eric, put him on TV. I want Jim Duggan. Now back to the real program. We've got Eddie versus Rick Martel. We got Marty Jannetty versus Chris Benoit. We got Ernest the Cat Miller versus Jerry Flynn. So far, this card I'm a little worried about. We got some good people. We got some people I like versus some people I'm like, who? We've got the Steiner brothers versus B Team, Buff Bagwell and Conan. Where's Scott Norton? I want Vicious and Delicious. That's concerning to me. I want Booker T and Mortis. Okay, whatever. World Television Championship match. We got Chris Jericho and Juventud. I'm hoping these are working. We got Lex Luger. I'm doing a little quieter to see if they'll work. We've got Lex Luger versus Scott Hall. I'm interested. We've got the Giant versus Hulk Hogan in the main event. What's that all about, Joseph? Explain tonight to me, because I don't know how I feel about this card.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It for sure is a weird one. We start with Eddie Guerrero facing Rick Martel, and Martel winning with a Boston Crab to build momentum for his Sold Out bout against Booker T. We see a recap of Thunder.
Wow. Sold Out bout.
You like that?
God,
You like that?
You're on fire, bro. Keep it going.
We see a recap of Thunder where NWO continues their infighting. Hogan and Bischoff come out and really say nothing like usual. The most he does is he calls the NWO his disciples, which leads him to having an actual disciple. We're just not quite there yet. We then get Marty Jannetty versus Chris Benoit, and Benoit wins and then gets attacked by the Flock. Jannetty helps out Benoit. Is he a member of the Four Horsemen? No. Which makes sense because they have both killed people, allegedly.
Oh!
Okay.
My man went there. My man went there.
The allegedly part of that is not on reference to Benoit. Benoit, we know, murdered people.
No, he did it.
But Jannetty has claimed that he had to kill somebody when he was much younger, and it was investigated. Nothing came of it. But it is an interesting story. And unfortunately, with Jannetty, we don't know if he was super high at the time when he said it, or if it's a real story. He has clear trauma in his life, so it's possible. We just don't know.
Yes, and I believe it was trauma related. He
Yeah.
he supposedly killed his abuser or something like that.
Yeah, someone who tried to
story.
tried to sexually assault him. We'll put it that way.
Yes, yeah, but no one can find evidence of this.
Yes.
So maybe it's true, maybe it's not. We don't know.
Up next is Jerry Flynn. There's no transition
fun.
from that. Up next is
fun.
Jerry Flynn versus Ernest the Cat Miller. The Cat wins. After that, Scott Hall does a survey and calls out Zbyszko, saying the only reason he was the AWA World Champion was because his father-in-law was the owner. Sick burn. He calls him the worst wrestler turned commentator in this company, pointing out that Dusty Rhodes was better. And that's going to be something that plays into Sold Out, but we'll get there. After this, we then get Buff Bagwell and Conan versus the Steiners. Scott Steiner continues to try and wrestle alone and with an edge, eventually winning with the Steiner driver. After this, Gene interviews the Giant, who gets interrupted by Kevin Nash. The Giant can't touch him until their match, so Nash taunts him. Savage shows up again because he and Nash are beefing. Savage pushed Hogan into Nash, who gets pushed into the Giant. So the Giant has now been assaulted by Nash, so the Giant gets to attack Nash.
Oh! Read the contract, buddy.
Yeah.
Read that contract. You blew it.
However, Hogan attacks Giant, and Sting runs in for the save, hitting the Scorpion Death Drop. After this, we get Mortis taking on Booker T, who wins and then Wrath attacks Booker post-match. Rick Martel runs out for the save. He apparently wants a healthy Booker at their match at Sold Out. Gene then interviews Flair, who is interrupted by Bret Hart, who has a...
Well, let me tell you something. If he wants a healthy Booker, he's in the wrong biz, because they ain't booking for shit on WCW. Anyways, go ahead. I just had to get that in there.
Interviews Flair, who is interrupted by Bret Hart, who has a new theme, thank God, because the last one was dog shit, who says he will run over Flair this Saturday at Sold Out. Chris Jericho then takes on Hoovy, who is no longer the Cruiserweight Champion. When did that happen? We don't know. Jericho wins with the Lion Tamer and grabs a mic and says he didn't realize Hoovy tapped out while he held in the lock and blames the ref for not telling him. He says it will never, ever happen again. This is the first time he does that. He's going to start doing that a lot, and it's great. But Hoovy ignores him, so he attacks him only for Ray to save the juice and set up the sold out match between Ray and Chris Jericho. Scott Hall then faces Lex Luger, but Savage interferes and causes the DQ. Eventually, Zbyszko runs in, but gets clobbered. This again sets up another match for Souled Out. For the main event.
And again, this is a DQ that gets Lex the win.
Yes.
Which, no dissension in the ranks there, Mach? Okay.
Absolutely. For the main event, we see Giant versus Hogan, but Hogan comes out in a neck brace, being hurt by Sting earlier, which is objectively hilarious. Giant doesn't care and grabs Hogan into the ring, and the match starts. Nash eventually interferes, and Hogan body slams Giant, hits the leg drop, but Savage goes for the elbow drop and distracts everyone. Giant hits the choke slam for the win. We get a giant pull apart here to close out the show and set up Souled Out. And when I say giant pull apart, I mean every single person who is in Souled Out is in this pull apart. And that's how we end the show.
What is Macho doing? I feel like he may have ulterior motives. I just, this seems mighty
there's no
suspicious.
dissension in the ranks. Everything's good in the hood.
Cool yeah. Even though 2 matches in a row, his interference has cost NWO.
What murder?
Just seems kind of suspicious. This seems kind of suspicious to me. Again, I liked tonight. Again, I feel like this was a relatively well-booked show. I like the storylines leading in to Souled Out. The Cruiserweight match was fun. I actually thought the Chris Benoit Marty Jannetty match was, again, another really just solid technical bout. I thought that was good fun. I was like, all right, Marty, I'm in. Overall fun. The downside is they announced that they're moving to the 3-hour format permanently starting next week. God help us. And you're wondering why. Oh, they could have added or they could have added Thunder. No, we couldn't have. Not with them moving to 3 hours. Come on. Overall, I think this was fun. What do you think? I mean, what were your highlights and lowlights?
Well, I'll say this. First off, I like what's going on with the Giant. The minute they said that that he could not attack Nash unless provoked, that set up exactly what I wanted to see in this week. Exactly what I wanted to see. Shenanigans happen where Nash accidentally hits the Giant and the Giant gets to go ham. I love that storyline. It's stupid. I love it every single time. The only thing I would say is a low light is Eddie Guerrero kind of having to play jobber right now. Like he lost to Rick Martel.
Yeah.
Which Rick Martel needed to win, to be clear. I get it. I just don't know that Eddie Guerrero needed to be the guy who was in that match. I don't really see why that was necessary. That's a big one for me. I love what's going on with Savage. Like you said, they keep doing this thing with Jerry Flynn, and Jim Nord was last week, and there's another guy soon. I can't remember his name. Where they're like it looks like they're trying to build some new stars, but they all look vanilla. And it's just like, why do we have these guys? Like they're people that you wouldn't even create a wrestler with. So anyways, it's an okay show. It's not my favorite show. I will say the build to Souled Out is one of the better builds we've had in the last many, many months.
Yes.
On top of that, and this is hopefully this hypes you to spend on our Patreon after this and listen to the full episode where you get Souled Out. This is the best Souled Out we've had yet. That's not saying anything because they've all been bad.
Yeah, come on. This is a fresh turd. This is a fresh turd, not a dried one. Tune in, $2 a month. It's actually not. It's not terrible.
No,
but
it's not.
The main event, it's just they cannot recover from Starrcade, no matter how much they try, because they have an 800-pound gorilla in the room, and his name is Hulk Hogan, and he will not allow it, and that's the problem. But going into it, I like the Larry Zbyszko stuff until I see it. I like a lot of this, right?
Yes.
And so I'm excited, and this is the go home show.
Mhm.
So you got to tune in for Sold Out 1998. It's next up and only on our Patreon. I think that does it, Joseph. Do you agree?
I 100% agree. For everybody who is one of our free listeners, it was a pleasure getting back to being with you guys. We will see you guys again at the next pay-per-view, which is going to be Royal Rumble 1998. But for everybody else who's on our Patreon, stick around after this. We're going to go ahead and get right into it. Bye, guys.